How I wound up in this mess was I was a drunk. And long story short, one night while I was laying on the couch, my wife had called from the side of the road. She couldn't get AAA on the phone, and she was trying to get a tow truck out there to help her change a tire. And I was so drunk that I yelled upstairs at my son, said, "Go get your mom off the side of the road." And the truck driver fell asleep at the wheel and killed them both instantly on the side of the road. I literally walked out the door and told my family I'll be back. I'm just going to go on a short run, and I never did return. I came out here to California, and I got into an accident right here in C.A.R.E, California on the 99. Very serious accident. I smashed into the Howard Johnson Hotel, and by the grace of God, I landed in the only 2 rooms that weren't rented. That immediately put a hold on me from the Department of Transportation, and I was in a hotel room until I ran out of money, and then I had no choice but to face the streets, you know. And I thought to myself, oh, I'll be fine, you know. And I came across a guy behind the Safeway on McHenry and Briggsmore there that told me, you know, here, try this. And I tried smoking methamphetamines for the first time. It made me forget. It made me forget the pain that I was in. And I don't know what happened at that moment, but my life would change immediately. I mean, you talk about a straight downhill elevator, you know, that was with a quickness. My addiction physically had gotten a hold of me without me even knowing it. And every morning it started this vicious cycle of the first thing on my mind is I have to have more drugs. And my situation is so bad that if I do some more drugs, I won't worry about it. I won't think about it. And it became this vicious circle. It took everything from me. And I wound up sleeping behind there. And then I thought, well, this is a really bad part of town. I better get out of here, you know. And I started working my way down the levee, sleeping at night in the bushes. And wound up here, right where we are. This is the very dumpster that I used to dig out of and survive out of. But the addiction was so incredibly hard on me, mentally and physically, and it just became my entire focus. There was no way out. You know, next thing you know, I started getting tickets, and I started getting in trouble with the police. And in my addiction, I saw it as, I'm not doing anything wrong, it's them that are harassing me, you know. That clearly wasn't the case, you know, but your focus when you're on methamphetamines turns your whole way of thinking around so negatively. But in your mind, you're okay, you know, you're doing what's okay, and it's everybody else that's the problem. And my addiction just became worse and worse and worse, to the point where there wasn't anything I wouldn't do. It was just this vicious cycle. And all I had was my dog to comfort me at night. And I wasn't going to lose her. That part of me still held on, you know, do what's right for the dog. Now that I can sit here with a clear head and mind, you know, and you just want to ask yourself, what were you thinking? But when you're in that addiction, you're not, you know. There's only one focus, and you'll do whatever it takes to get there. And through my involvement of, you know, consistently running into the police and whatnot, there was this one cop who wouldn't leave me alone. And, you know, I was like, this harassment, I'm gonna I'm going to tell somebody, he's really got it out for me and it isn't fair. And, in my mind, that's the way I saw it, but I couldn't see it as he's doing his job, and I'm not supposed to be sleeping under the playground in the park, and he's here to kick me out. And I finally flipped out one day and started telling him off, and he had the graciousness to let me vent. He made a phone call, and the next thing I know, this lovely young lady right here appeared in my life.
Hi, my name is Samantha Pruitt and I work on the C.A.R.E team. The C.A.R.E team is a multidisciplinary team that works with the homeless. My specific job is I am the substance use disorder counselor on staff, so my job is to go out and meet the clients and work with engaging them to get into SUD treatment. Once we get them in treatment, then sober living, and on and back into a functional member of society. When I met Brad, I was actually working with another C.A.R.E client at Sonoma Park. Officer Musto had sent a referral or called me and said that there was a gentleman there who was actually looking for an opportunity to get into treatment. So I went over to Sonoma Park and met with the client and set an assessment date. He was very eager to go ahead and work and start getting into the program. Gave him an assessment, got him into treatment, and he just absolutely blossomed from there. He has just been such a wonderful success story, and he's a great example of what happens when you just give a little bit of support and care to a person and give them the resources and opportunities to blossom and get back to sustainable living. Yeah, just the reconnection with the family is one of the most beautiful blessings that I've gotten to see with working with him, and how happy that makes him and his whole family. And the whole C.A.R.E team is just absolutely so proud of Brad, and we can't wait to have many more success stories like this.
The first thing that I had to address immediately, it was pretty obvious, was my addiction. Had to be addressed immediately, because there's nothing that you're going to do positive with that gorilla on your back. I don't care how strong you are, you can't do it alone. Sam got the ball rolling for me, and right then and there, I don't think it took but about 48 hours, and the next thing you know, she's taking me to Nirvana, which I'd never heard of the place. I don't know what this is, I got in there, and I met Kathy, the counselor, and she sat me down, and the first thing she said to me was, "It's going to be okay, and we're here to help." I felt this tremendous sense of where my body just relaxed in that chair. And she said, I just want to go over a couple of things with you and get some information from you, and then we're going to give you a bed. I hadn't had a bed in 2.5 years. This right here was my bed. I don't know anybody that ever did it alone, and I don't know anybody that can. I've never seen anybody that just walked away one day and said, I'm done, and made it. Without the combination of you guys and your direction and the step-by-step process of what I needed that I couldn't even see myself, with Nirvana, and then the outpatient program from there. And the whole way Sam was assisting me with clothing and whatnot that I needed to be able to go out and find, go to these interviews and whatnot with these different organizations to get the help that brought me all this. I wouldn't have been able to do it without you guys. There's no way. I call you guys the first piece of the puzzle. And there was also another organization that I found once I was an outpatient called Free World, that was designed by a convicted felon out of prison. And he put together a program that helps people that have past records and things like that. And I looked at their program and I'm like, wow. And Sam helped me do all the paperwork and the online stuff to get involved with that. And once I brought those two pieces of the puzzle together, it was on. Things started moving in a very positive direction, and I kept going to my AA meeting every night, which gave me enough will to make it to tomorrow night. The next thing I know, I was being offered a $15,000 grant to go to an international truck driving school. I remember going to Sam and saying, I need your help, and she came right away, and we sat down at a McDonald's and filled out all this stuff. And it was crazy. The ball started rolling in a direction that gave me the desire to keep going with staying clean and sober. And as long as I remain this way and utilize you guys and Free World, this so far away dream that I thought would never come true, I'm asking too much. Between y'all and Free World and God, it came together step by step. And I ended up going to the International Truck Driving School up in Stockton every day. They sent Uber for me 5 o'clock in the morning. And every day they picked me up and brought me back to the Clean and Sober House. And as long as I worked at that program and the Clean and Sober and whatnot, and with everybody's help here, it just, next thing I know, I had Tesla on the phone saying that they somehow found out I used to drive in foul weather, and they wanted to know if I would be interested in a position to drive the very first electric truck that satellite controlled a driverless vehicle, if I'd just be willing to do that up north in bad weather. All of a sudden there was this job and whatnot, and then I remember Sam got me the clothes to go to the interview, and I got to the interview, and here's this man that literally answers to Elon Musk, and he's got this paperwork, and it clearly states that they're offering me $124,000 a year to stay in this program. And when the prototype is not being run, they'll put me on the cargo side of a couple of companies that they own here in the United States. It's like I was just telling Sam 4 days ago, I just drove this thing across the Hoover Dam. Boy, was that breathtaking, and I mean literally. Looking at my dog, looking out the window, and going, wow, how many people have done this? You know, my daughter, I showed Sam a post that she put up yesterday on Facebook of how grateful she was that her prayers had been answered as we all stood together in church on last Sunday, 14 of us. That meant so much to me, I was so ashamed during the 2.5 years that I was loaded out of my mind and running around back here and doing all these things, that my kids had literally filed missing person reports, and I never called them because I didn't want them to know or see me. I started out with very small goals, but when Samantha put me in Nirvana, 3 days later I had found out that I had a brand new grandson born in North Carolina. And my goal was just to hold him. And yet I had to figure out, how do I get home 3,000 miles away, and gotta have a job and get some funds going and things like that. And this whole thing came together, and this truck right here keeps me connected to my family. And my daughter just recently went with me. I went and bought a $40,000 RV, and on Friday it'll be moved to her house, where I will call it home now and have my own place to stay, and be there with my grandchildren and whatnot, and play a part in their lives. I owe it all to you guys, every bit of it, that's for sure. What's really hard for me to understand is so much incredible accomplishments had been made, and I don't even have a year. I'm coming up on 10 months here. I mean, this all came together in 10 little months through you guys and the ball rolling, and I just stayed focused on what needed to be done, and I paid very close attention to, I have an addiction that will always be there. And as long as I work the steps, the AA program, and stay in touch with my sponsor, and just keep working and staying busy, you know, I'm a productive citizen now. This guy isn't chasing me anymore. Well, it's like I said, no one person could do this on their own. And the addiction, the power behind that is so ugly. We have dreams that we think are fantasies that'll never come true. And yet they can. They can if you take advantage of this program right here. I mean, I spent 2.5 years back here, and I didn't know any of you, you know, and you certainly didn't know me, and you know, this city is in trouble without you guys. You guys are the real superheroes here. It's just been an incredible journey, and without this, I'd still be digging out of that dumpster right there. And you guys, you know, you gave me hope, and you gave me nirvana, and that led me to free world, and here we all are. Thank you. It's been a hell of a ride, man. It really has, literally.